Week 1, a lot of times it's kind of a sleight of hand. Like, remember a couple of years ago, Anthony Richardson goes off in the swamp. They beat a good Utah team. And a lot of folks are saying, all right, like, hey, is Florida going to contend for the SEC? And then they end up winning 6 football games. We look at that Utah team, we're like, well, hey, what's going on out there in Salt Lake City? Like, are they going to be? They went out and won the Pac-12, and they're more than fine. So what is real and what is maybe not real from week 1? College football sickos, our time is here. Make sure you're subscribed to the On3 YouTube channel. We want y'all a part of this. We want to lock arms with y'all as we just trot through the beautiful thing that is the college football season. Thank you so much. We appreciate y'all for being subscribed. I'll start with what I believe is real. Nico Iamaleava. I know it was Chattanooga. I understand it was the Mocs. I understand they're going to have to play Alabama and Georgia, but like what you saw from Nico Iamaleava in that first game, going for 300-plus yards, his first half, not the first game, this first half of his college career as the guy in Knoxville, not counting the bowl game. That was real. Like that was an ultimately a laser convention. And the reason why I feel so good about that being real, yes, he got a lot of off coverage. And yes, Chattanooga is nowhere near the competition level he's going to see. But the poise and the definitive way you saw him play the game, that's going to translate. Now, I'm not telling you he's winning the Heisman Trophy based off one game, but I am saying you can trust what you saw in that game. He's going to be a big-time player for them. It looks like the light bulb is pretty much on. We'll get a great litmus test for him against NC State this upcoming week. But I'm just telling you, if you're a Tennessee fan, get excited about Nico. You probably don't need me to tell you that, but I'm just saying what you saw in that game, it was real, regardless of the competition level. Here's what's not real. A lot of folks now trying to get rid of their Clemson stock. Oh, man, they got drugged by Georgia, man, 34-3. The offense couldn't move the ball. What are we doing? Let's pump the brakes here. Much like Tennessee is superior to Chattanooga, Georgia is a pretty tough litmus test when you talk about Clemson. Now, I probably wouldn't have said it the way that I just said it. I don't think Chattanooga is the equivalent of what Clemson is versus Tennessee and Georgia, but you hear what I'm saying. Clemson, I thought, played really well that first half of the game. I think they made a point that front seven, even with the youth they have up there, they're going to be, I think, a problem for the rest of the ACC. Look at the rest of their schedule, too. Like, no Miami on there. That Florida State game looks a lot more winnable. It's hard to get a great gauge for the offense in that first game. They definitely need some of those young bucks from a TJ Moore to step up. They need a Bryant Wesco to step up a little bit for them on the outside. We'll see how they manage them going forward. I'm just saying, I don't think you should just write off Clemson because they got beat by Georgia. I've said it for a long time. I think Georgia is on another planet this year. That's how I feel about them. They showed that in that game. But Clemson showing some good things, I think, in that first game. I think they'll be a force in the ACC. Here's something that's real, too. Notre Dame. Notre Dame is going to be a problem this year in college football. And they're going to say, well, Texas A&M, we don't know what they are. Connor Wegman doesn't really look that great, and it was just the first game, and the skill players. I understand all of that. To me, I look at Notre Dame. I see a salty team. I see a team full of adults, both like metaphorically with how they carry themselves, and then literally with 7 grad students starting on defense, to walk into College Station and to have zero flinch, Riley Leonard included. I mean, that's a guy who's gotten his first start at Notre Dame, not getting much of spring football, new OC, new pieces on the perimeter. I love everything about Notre Dame. And you look at the schedule for them the rest of the way, like they don't have a difficult gauntlet to run necessarily to make the college football playoff. Now, they still have some tricky opponents on there. Florida State, again, not to dunk on the Noles, but that game looks a lot more winnable than it did a few weeks ago. You got to go and play USC, and that game looks a little bit tougher than it did a few weeks ago. But at the end of the day, again, I think 10-2 Notre Dame gets in the college football playoff, more than them in a little bit. They found a way to win ugly on the road. We said it on our Sunday reaction, man. Sometimes it's better to be gritty than pretty, and I think Notre Dame was gritty, and I think that was the real deal from them in College Station. Here's something that's an overreaction that's not real. A lot of people saying, man, LSU only scored 20 points on offense against a USC defense that we have come to make fun of in the college football public. One, I think USC's defense has proven they are going to be better this year, so that's one. Two, LSU offensively has too many playmakers and are too well coached to have the result they had this past Sunday. Okay, like they're not going to have 3 drives inside the 15 and come away with 6 points. It's just not going to happen. the concern going into that game, if you're an LSU fan offensively, was like, hey, Garrett Nussmeier, man, we know he likes to push the ball deep. Is he going to take care of the football? There was that fluky interception at the very end of the game, but for the most part, man, you saw him make good decisions. You saw him on time, in rhythm. He's got a new play caller in Joe Sloan. I think Kyron Lacey has very much so made a case he's got next as the great wide receiver at LSU. Like, I love the pieces at LSU. I would be wildly surprised if we saw the offense average anything below 30 to 35 points a game this year. I really believe that. I think they're stacked. I love the offensive line. I think, if anything, this game will hopefully propel them going forward. And the LSU offense is more than fine. Do not listen to anybody telling you otherwise, all right? Cam Ward now. He is the real deal now. Him and Miami are the real deal. And I think there is still something to be said for, okay, well, you have to do it consistently. You still have to handle success correctly. This is a different spot for this team, you know, given where they are in the Mario Cristobal regime. But I think a lot of people will be quick to say, well, it was Florida. Relax, calm down. We don't know what the Gators are. In fact, a lot of people would say the opposite. We don't think Florida's all that good. Here's what I would say. Say what you want about Florida. I know what I saw from Cam Ward. I know what I saw from that team, and I know what I saw when it came to being in a difficult environment in the swamp, something that yours truly was harping on all week long, saying that was going to make the difference, that was going to be something he had never seen before, and he walked out there and was, I mean, again, I said it yesterday, I'll say it again. He looked like he was playing football at one of his buddies' barbecues. Like, he was just so calm, so poised, and if you're going to look calm and poised in your first start ever, in one of the most difficult environments to play in college football, I got no reservations about Miami going forward. That roster is now at a place where Mario Cristobal has been pushing it to for some time. You have a quarterback to get it done. I know what I saw. Miami, for my money, they're the real deal. They're a college football playoff team. And the schedule, I think, indicates as much. Here's one more thing that's not real, an overreaction. Again, we're going to get on this a little bit later on in the show. People are telling you that Oregon is fraudulent. I'm like, based on what? Based on the fact that they beat Idaho by 10 points, that's the hill you're willing to die on? I understand you could look at the final score and say, oh, it shouldn't be that close. That's true. That's 100% true. Oregon, I think a lot of people would tell you they did not execute or play complimentary enough football to have their best day that day. But I look at the things that would make me concerned if I'm watching a team in week one. And that is the trenches. Hey, are we getting pushed off the ball? Do we look like a lackluster organization? Not at all. They held Idaho to like 40-some-odd rush yards. Hey, is our quarterback, did we miss on the quarterback? Because we got him through the portal, and honestly, we're putting a good amount of our college football playoff aspirations on the shoulders of number 8, Dylan Gabriel. No, he was dialed in. He played great. So there were some things that didn't break their way, some things that they, quite frankly, have to do a better job at. But there was no breakdown defensively. There was no breakdown offensively. The roster, they're going to be fine. If someone's selling you Oregon stock, probably at a discounted rate, I would take that and take as much of it as I can, shake their hand as they walk away. Just a foolish move by them. They play Boise State this week. Does Oregon? Be a good test. Be very interesting to see how they respond to a bit of a tough week for Oregon the week before against Idaho. But I can't wait to see how they respond, man, because, again, that roster is as good as any in college football. You probably put them in that conversation with an Ohio State and a Georgia when it comes to the talent level right now. And that's saying something. So, again, it's week one. We appreciate the fact that we get to react to this, but it's one data point. One data point, sometimes you draw conclusions that aren't always accurate, all right? So let's do our best to keep a level head together. Those are things that I believe are both real and not real based on this past weekend. Hey, y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.